Welcome to the Girl Dad Show.
Welcome to the Girl Dad Show, a professional parenting podcast. Each month, I interview entrepreneurs, leaders, and professionals who are balancing parenthood, life, and profession in the hopes to learn what it takes to be an amazing professional parent. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Girl Dad Show. Today, I had Kara from Principal join me today. It was a very special episode because I've worked with Kara when I was at Limelight many years ago when she was a board member and investor to our company. And although I've only known her when it was very high-tense situations, she was one of the kindest people I've ever met. And it really, really resonated with me. And so grateful that she took the time to talk to me about the other side of her life, which is the personal side and the parenting side. And so I'm really excited for you to check out her story and learn from her and the decisions that she's had to make to grow both her career and her family. She's one of the kindest and most thoughtful people I've ever met. And I can't wait for you to check out the show. Kara, thank you so much for joining me on my show today.
Oh, Young, it is delightful to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk with you today.
It's been so many years, and I feel like time is flying, and it's unbelievable how long it's been since we've connected, and I'm so grateful that we'll be able to reconnect on my podcast about parenting.
I know when you reached out about this opportunity, it is absolutely a great chance to reconnect, and it made me think about the times that we had spent together, most often in San Francisco, with your prior employer.
That's right. We were talking business. It was very, very business focused, and we're trying to grow really, really fast and get a lot of stuff done. And it's just really exciting to be able to unpack this with you. But let's jump right into it. So why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about what you do for a living?
Sure. So I am actually the Senior Vice President for Specialty Benefits at Principal Financial Group. So that's a lot of jargon, and I will explain. So what that means is I have the opportunity to lead, I think it's about 1,200 people as we try and provide peace of mind to individuals by providing, income protection and dental insurance, vision insurance, life insurance through employee benefits in the workplace. And so I've been with Principal for 25 years. I've been in this role for about 5 years now and absolutely love what I get to do every day. We've got an absolutely fantastic team of people that are committed to helping people save enough, have enough, and protect enough in their daily lives. And that's really rewarding.
So I have to ask, 25 years is a long time. So what was that? What was that like? Because I think that coming from my side of the world where we, in tech, we switch jobs almost like every 2 to 4 years. It's a really, really anomalous thing to hear someone that's grown in one company for 25 years. What was that like? And what was that journey like?
Yeah, so it was not planned. So that was, this was the company that I kind of set my sights on working for when I graduated from college for a whole variety of reasons. Great reputation. It was going to allow me to stay close to my family, to the gentleman I was dating at the time I graduated, all these types of things. And so I thought, I'll spend a couple years here, figure things out and what I really want to do. Well, 4 years passed, great experience, started in the retirement division of the company, but then honestly didn't know what my career path was. Yeah. And so I had an opportunity. I left Principal and I emphasize legally, sold drugs for a year. Pharmaceutical sales, learned a lot about myself, not what I was meant to do from a career perspective. So when I got a call about a different opportunity at Principal, I jumped at that chance to come back. And while I haven't changed jobs every 2 or 3 years, I will share that I have changed roles probably every 5 to 7 years during that aggregate 5 years. So I've had a chance to have just a wide variety of experiences, everything from, working in distribution for a retirement division to running a bank and a trust company and a broker dealer to now leading our group insurance and individual disability insurance businesses, as well as a shared service that pays broker compensation. So it's been kind of like changing jobs every few years, but I kind of have that safety net of having this network and familiarity with the same company, which I found really, really helpful.
Yeah, I mean, listening to you talk about it, that actually sounds really nice. Coming from the side of not knowing what that looks like, or being able to experience that in hindsight, I wish I could have done that, because it sounds like you got the benefit of both sides: the security of being at the same company, understanding the culture and the pay and all those things, and like how you get your benefits and all that stuff without having to like switch to another company, but still getting a new role and getting the diversity of new things that you get to learn.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. I mean, it's been one of the biggest blessings of my professional life. And then, the other aspect, and sometimes it's not until I actually step outside of principal and go to industry events or meetings with people that are outside financial services or insurance, that it's such a stark reminder. But the other blessing that I've had at principal is the fact that I've always had women role models at higher levels
Mm.
organization. And so, to be in an environment where I've always had someone that kind of looks like me, using air quotes here, has been also tremendous. Amazing mentors and
Yeah.
sponsors along that journey. And I know that that's not something that every female leader necessarily has in their workplace.
Yeah, I'd say, I mean, obviously, this is just me gathering random data. That's just my personal data sets. I'd say it's actually in the minority. I'd say most women don't say that. So that's really, really unique. And so do you think that it's a principal thing, or is that something that you were able to really kind of create and craft your journey within principal to do those kind of job switches and roles?
It's a combination, I
Yeah.
would say.
Yeah.
So in terms of the job changes, I think early on I recognized my love of learning. And then my leader, in fact, someone I worked for almost 10 years. So speaking of, phenomenal mentor and sponsor, someone that I got the privilege of meeting initially through a mentoring program that Principal was sponsoring, and then ultimately went and worked for this individual as she took on a new leadership opportunity. And then we worked alongside each other for almost 10 years. She was that person that I kind of visualize. I'm the little bird, she's the mama bird, she's
Hmm.
pushing me out of the nest to fly. So really encouraging me and giving me a confidence that I probably didn't have at that point in myself, to try something new and to build that confidence. And that's really when I went into my first profit and loss leadership opportunity in running Principal Bank and Principal Trust Company. But, combining having the support of an incredible leader and broad leadership team, plus gaining the experience, and then my personal love of learning has just made it such that combination where, it's as new opportunities have come up, I've been in a position where people have said, would you be interested in this? Or raise my hand for it to say, hey, I know I'm interested in this. Is this something I could pursue at some point in
Yeah,
time?
that's awesome. I mean, the reason why I'm asking is because like I'm thinking about like my kids, right? And like how I want to raise them. And do I want to raise them in this mindset of like, being an entrepreneur as well? Or do I want to raise them in the mindset of like, going the steady route of like rising the corporate ladder or whatever that may be? Because I think there's like pros and cons to both, but it sounds like you've found a really clever way of kind of mixing both of them together for yourself.
And that's when you were making that comment, Young, that's exactly where my head was going is, I think you can have one mindset or the other, but I think if people want it, there's a way to blend those
Yeah.
two things. And it could be different periods or chapters of your life where you're all in on one or all in on the other. Or, like I've done, you find an amazing organization to work for that allows you to have a diverse set of experiences over time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's actually jump into the main thing about the podcast. Let me know about your kids. How many kids do you have, and how old are they?
Yep, absolutely. Happy to. So I have two daughters. My oldest is 20 and is going to be a junior in college. She's going to my alma mater, so super excited about that. She's my runner and studying to be a high school math teacher. She's only about an hour away from Des Moines, Iowa, where I am, so get the chance to see her. In fact, this past Sunday, the whole family packed up, including our two fur babies, and we went down to Pella, which is the community where college is. And we did pancakes in the park. We took everything so we could make pancakes and just have fun in the park. So it's nice to be able to do that. And then my younger daughter actually just graduated from high school. She is 18. And literally less than 30 days from today, when we are recording this, I will be driving away from dropping her off at college.
Wow.
So I told myself I'm not going to cry or get emotional on this podcast, but it is definitely, we're embarking on a major transition on the personal front.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I have a lot to learn from you because I also have two girls, 2 years apart as well. So I have a 3 and 5 year old. So I'm a little bit earlier in the journey here. But yeah, I'm really excited to hear all your war stories and all your successes and trials and tribulations, because it's definitely unique having two girls versus well, I don't know because I only have the two girls. But when I look at my friends that have boys and stuff, there's a huge difference between how they operate and the energy levels. And so it's been really fun to adapt to that and learn how to be a father, right, to girls. Yeah, a girl dad. That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly it. Can I ask, since your kids are older, like, what do they think about what you do? Do they know what you do?
Yes and no. So, there's the occasion when one of them is in the car and I'm taking a phone call and and it's on, Bluetooth, so they're
Listening.
just listening to this conversation. And as I hang up, sometimes I'll say, "So, what did you think of that?" And they're like, "I have absolutely no idea what you do." Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So do they have any idea what I do? No, not really. What they make fun of me most about, which kills me, is just that they're like, "Mom, we cannot go anywhere with you without you knowing someone."
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, it is kind of true. I mean, it's fun because, again, I've moved around this organization. I live in a suburb of the community of Des Moines where Principal is based, the world headquarters are. And so it is true. It is very rare that we don't go to the mall or out to dinner or someplace where I don't say hi to someone by name. And the girls are always just like, "Seriously, Mom?" So that's kind of fun, but no, they really don't know what I do. My youngest just posted on Instagram and she called me a badass.
Oh, nice.
So I hope I can say the podcast, but
yeah, you totally.
Yeah, she's like, "Thanks, Mom, for being a badass at work and being really kind at home."
Nice. That's awesome. So they don't know what it is you do, but they do know that you're like a badass at work. Okay.
Yes.
So they know there's there's a little bit of a switch. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, something like that. Yes, exactly.
So then that kind of goes to my next question. Are you carrying some of the same tactics and principles that have made you successful at work to home? But it sounds like you don't. It sounds like you're kind of a different person, or?
Well, I think I do, though. I mean, I don't think I'm a different person when I'm at home. I think when Mallory called me a badass, I think it's more in the vein of, she doesn't know what I do, but she knows that a lot of people work in the same business that I'm in, and that I know a lot of people, and that my job is pretty big and pretty important. And so, but I don't think that it's necessarily in the vein of, being different people at work and at home.
That's a great clarification.
Because honestly, I hope I am the same person and listen as well at work as I do at home, and vice versa, and take the same kind of approach in how I lead to how I parent.
Yeah, that's like the biggest thing for me, right? Is like trying to figure out where the parallels there are from working and from parenting, because like I try to either do too much of the stuff I do at work with my kids and it totally backfires, or I completely give up and I don't do any of it, and then I just become a complete pushover. And so like there's like this really hard thing for me to like overcome when I come like at work. I feel like I'm really structured and I have like systems and processes, and there's like ways to measure performance with leading and lagging indicators, and everything's like nice and neat, and like I can like control it, and then at home I'm like, I don't know how to answer the third why, and I'm like, I don't know. Can you just do what I tell you to do? And then you get exasperated and you want to give up, And do you resonate with any of this, or?
Oh, I completely resonate with it. Yeah, I haven't applied the leading and lagging measures at home. I knew that would actually backfire. But what I do is from a control perspective, I will totally admit that I am that person that cleans up after everybody. In fact, that was early on in the pandemic. My husband told me, well, we were riding in the car one day and he said, honey, you know I love you, right? And I said, yeah. He goes, I cannot wait for you to go back to the office. You have got to go to the office because we are all tired of you cleaning up after us all the time.
Oh, I love it.
And that's my way to control it at home. But yeah, I think it's, to me, there's, it really is about just that core personality that we bring both professionally and personally. And I'm a big believer in servant leadership. And I hope if you would talk to any of my team members that they would describe my leadership in a way that, is similar to kind of the essence of servant leadership, which is about breaking down barriers and being a great listener and caring more about helping the other person than what it's going to do for me in the short term. And ultimately, I think that if you ask my girls, they would say those same things about my parenting, that I've tried to break down barriers for them and that I've listened to them and tried to support them in ways that allow them to become the humans that they want to be and the amazing individuals that they are.
Yeah, I mean, and I can attest to that. And I know you know this, but I'll give you the validation, at least from my perspective. And it may actually be a really validating perspective because I've only met you actually half a dozen times. And all six of those times, I would say were highly intense interactions because we're in a board meeting or doing something very, very business critical. And I will say that it was almost unbelievably apparent that you took the time to stop and pretend like it almost felt like I was the only thing that mattered for that 5 minutes that I was talking to you. And it was really, really special. And that was something that was very memorable that I remembered about you is that I know you're really busy. You're really important. I know you're a badass. I know it, right? I know your title. I know who you are. But I'm literally talking to you about this thing and I don't even know what it was, but you would literally stop and stare me right in the eyes and truly listen to me. And for that 5 minutes, I felt like you were just focusing on me. And that was really cool. That was really, really cool. And so for whatever that's worth, I just want to validate that I do believe that you are an incredible listener and you do live that servant leadership life because even in that one objective, half dozen interactions you and I have had, I remember it viscerally. I'm like, wow, that was really, really cool that she did that.
Wow. Thank you, Young. I very, very, very much appreciate it. And honestly, that's the type of impact that I hope I have on every individual I get the chance to interact with, whether personally or professionally. And from a parenting perspective, hope that by watching that, my girls take what works for them from that and incorporate that into how they treat and interact with other people.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so a lot of live what you want them to do kind of thing. How about what does the youngest want to do? So I know your oldest wants to be a teacher, which is really interesting. I wonder where she got that from. Did she just kind of figure that out or?
Yeah, she did. She has wanted to be a teacher for, her entire high school career, I think, and very specific. She was always super specific around being a math teacher. And if you ask her why, to me, it's so super admirable. She says that she has had so many amazing teachers during her career that have impacted her and shaped who she is, that she wants to have that type of impact on other people. And she loves math. And so what better way to do that than to go into education? And then running has just always been a key part of her identity. In fact, she still runs in college, both track and cross country.
Fantastic.
And wants to, help others pursue whatever sport it is, but she will probably coach track or cross country, one of those. So the younger one is also an athlete, despite my efforts when they were little to have them become dancers, because that's what I was when I was little.
Yeah.
That didn't work. My husband was very much, we're going to encourage them to be athletes. He didn't want to pay the money for all the dance costumes. So she actually took up softball. And in fact, she's going to Minot State University in North Dakota to play softball. And she is going to study physical education. She also wants to become a teacher and ultimately, pursue coaching and maybe go into being an athletic director or something like that. She is absolutely in her element when she is in a team environment and helping other athletes. athletes.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. You
Yeah.
have some solid kids there that know who they are and know what they want. That's amazing. I feel like I turned 42 this year and I still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up.
I got you there young. I'm going to be 49 this year. And yeah, I'm like, what do I want to do when I
That's
grow up?
right.
Because
That's right.
plan. Yeah.
That's amazing.
I'm having fun and I'm loving it, but I'm not sure. None of this was on the plan per se.
Yeah, so then I have to ask because I can't even imagine the amount of sacrifices you've had to make to grow and rise up, to the level that you're at, in the short amount of time. I mean, in 25 years, that's a really rapid ascension. Like, what was that like being a parent as well? What kind of like did you have to make sacrifices, do you think, to do that, or you did?
I did, but I also my secret, not my not so secret, and this podcast would not be complete without sharing this is my life partner. So my husband, we met at Principal, and then went on to get married and have the girls. And he had always, it was like he had a sixth sense early in our relationship. And as we built our family, that at some point something was I going to have to give. And I kind of doubted that. I'm like, I think we can figure this out. And we can both have successful careers. We can both, we can raise amazing children
Right.
and very fruitful life. What ended up happening is we got pretty darn close one too many times of literally handing the girls off at the airport. We never actually did have to
Yeah.
hand them off to each other at the airport, but we were to a point where I was traveling, he was traveling, and coordinating those two schedules was getting really hard. Couple that with he had some health issues, which was then just adding to this wake up call that we had to say something does have to give. And at that point in our lives, I loved my job. He wasn't super satisfied in his job. And so we made the decision as a couple that he would stay home. And initially it was going to be for a couple of years. And 2 years ended up turning into now 16 years.
Wow.
But I have to make sure and give him the credit he deserves because the girls would not be the people they are without the influence that he's had by being a stay-at-home dad. I would not have been able to go on some of those trips or take on some of those extra projects without knowing that he was going to physically, mentally, and emotionally be there in ways that I probably wouldn't be while I was doing some of those extras. So I would say it has been an absolute team effort and partnership along the way. So he's the one that's given up a lot and allowed me to build this amazing career. And I hope he would, if he were here, he would reflect and say it's been super rewarding. It's also had its challenges, let's be honest, because we've taken on non-traditional roles, and that's how we could go there if you want. It hasn't always been easy, but it's been the journey that's worked for us.
Yeah, that's an amazing story, and I appreciate you taking the liberty of sharing it because I think it actually needs to be heard more often for two specific reasons. One is, I think it's so hard for people to understand that like there needs to be sacrifice to do big things, right? It doesn't just come, and not everyone's perfect or all these other things. Like there are things that are going on in the background that are making it so that you can achieve these things. And it's like this thing that I'm learning. The older I get, I'm realizing you don't really do anything extraordinary by yourself. Anything extraordinary usually happens with the team of people supporting that as a unison, right? And so I'm like starting. I mean, maybe you already realized it much younger than I did, but I'm just starting to realize that like you need a big network of people that are helping you get something large done. And so I think that's really cool to showcase that and just be able to share that story that you had. And then the second thing is, I think it's also really cool to talk about that as like a team, right? Like the parenting team dynamic, regardless of the gender norms or whatever that may be. Like I think that so much of this is like you guys are making decisions of like time, money, careers, health. Like it's a very complex equation, and you're working through it with the kids. And then I'm sure it sounds like they were like 4 and 2 when you guys made this decision.
Yep. Good math.
Yeah. And so very similar age as my kids right now, but it's really great to hear that you guys are talking about these things and making those business critical decisions, family decisions, and life decisions together, and coming up with those solutions. Both as a story for other people to hear that, but also for me to hear that, because Amy and I did the same thing. So Amy decided to stop working as well because we realized that like there was a well, we were in also California, and I don't know what cost of daycare is here in Texas. I'm sure it's a lot lower, but in California, the cost of the having daycare for the two kids was almost as much as her salary was. And
For
so we were
sure.
just like, wait, we're gonna basically make very little to have someone else watch our kids. Wouldn't it be better just if we like added a couple notches on our belt and like tightened up our belt a little bit and then just had one of us at home, whether it was me or her? And we didn't really actually care at that point. It was more of a decision of like, does that make sense to like try to make an extra couple $1,000s to like have someone else watch our kids?
Right.
And so it was a really interesting process, and it was really weird because I don't know. I mean, you're talking about the gender norms, but even in California, we got a lot of weirdness when we told people that we were going to have one parent at home. And we had the reverse kind of like, not shaming, but definitely there were some weird things that happened with people saying, you don't have to do that, right? You could both work. And I'm like, it's not like that. It was a conscious decision that we made to like, try to raise our kids with, different values and just live in lesser means.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and I'd be curious, Young. I mean, as you went through that, how did you handle that? Because all of a sudden, there's a professional pressure on you. I can remember feeling that when all of a sudden you are the sole breadwinner and the sole
Yeah.
financial provider for your family. And then at a different point, I actually went through this jealousy phase where it was kind of like, okay, I kind of got used to the fact that, okay, you know what? I need to make sure I'm doing my absolute best. Not that I wasn't before, but there's just this newfound pressure to make sure that, I'm
You're
doing everything I
performing.
can to provide for my family financially. But then I got to a point where I'm kind of like, oh gosh, the girls are now going to Steve when they have owies instead of me. And oh gosh, he got to take him to the zoo and I didn't get to go, and he forgot to take pictures, so I didn't even get to see any of it.
Yeah.
Did you find yourself going through that? I mean, there was a bit of a almost a grief aspect to getting used to what our new normal was then.
I think for me, I'm still kind of young in that stage, right? We've only been doing it for a year and a half, and fortunately or unfortunately, it's been through the pandemic, so there's so many other things to worry about that hasn't hit me. But it really hit me hard the other week when, Grace's swim class came up on the calendar, and it coincided with one of my meetings, or it was like about, I can't remember what it was. It was the other week, and I had to message Amy, and I said, "Hey, I'm not going to be able to make that thing," and her response was like, "I wasn't expecting you to." And I'm like, oh, that like really hurt my heart for some reason. And there was a really big pang of jealousy, right? I'm like, oh, I want to be there. Why wouldn't I, like, why wouldn't you expect me to be there? And obviously, if Amy, if you're listening to this, don't worry. I'm not really upset or anything like that. But I do know what you mean. I can see that happening more and more and more as we get down this road, because there are things that I want to be there for my kids, and I want to be a very present parent because, um, I don't know. It's really important to me, and it's actually the whole impetus of even starting this podcast. It's like trying to figure out how other people are doing it, so I could do it too, or glean advice from your experiences and like and how you navigated that. So, what advice do you have if I am going to go down this road, and how did you combat that feeling of jealousy and oh, am I doing the right thing? And then obviously the risk performance thing too. I definitely want to know about that because I feel that intimately. Like I have to
Yes.
perform. Like I have to produce. I have to make money because this is it.
Well, and I'm guessing, even with the work you do in consulting, that pressure is even different because your desire to grow your business and gain new clients and all that takes, not only just performing for who you're engaged with here and now. I think for me, it ultimately leaning into my faith helped, and the passage of time. I think as we found our way and our footing and our new normal, as I got more comfortable, because part of it too was just the fact that if I think back to 16 years ago, I knew one other working mom whose husband was staying at home. And
Wow.
it. And so I also felt, you talked about your experience in San Francisco and the feedback you were getting from other people that you were talking with, somewhat similarly, when people would ask what Steve was doing, I'm like, well, he's a stay-at-home dad. And then I'd go into this long spiel on why we made this decision. It was almost like I felt constantly a need to defend a very personal decision around our family. And once I actually got comfortable with that and the fact that, it's no one else's business, this is our decision, then that too helped me just kind of on this path forward and acknowledging that, it's okay and we're going to find our way. And yes, there's going to be ups and downs and frustration or jealousy. And likewise, again, if Steve were on this call, he's had his own set of experiences because, again, he took kind of a non-traditional path. He's actually the one that's more formally educated at a higher level than I am. And so to not put that to use, gosh, should I have done something differently?
Yeah.
We've both had different sets of emotions at different points in time, but lots of good conversation, passage of time, and then seeing just how the girls ultimately were growing and thriving and how we were able to support them as they were on their journey, I think ultimately is what got us to a good spot.
It's amazing. I love that. I think that's really, really great. And then you mentioned faith, though. So did that community also embrace this, or was this also kind of similarly? Did you get the same kind of feedback from that community as well?
Probably less so from it. Neither one or the other. I'd say, my parents have very strong faith, were very supportive. My in-laws, super supportive as well. It was more of, me personally leaning into my faith and prayer to say that, have the confidence that this is the path that we were supposed to go on.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's a really sage advice for me specifically, and then anyone listening about this kind of like problem set. But it's like I feel exactly the same way you're mentioning when we would be in San Francisco, not so much in Texas. I feel like it's a lot more normal here in Texas, but in San Francisco, definitely felt that, like where it was weird that, one of us was staying home. And it's like, no, you don't need to do that. And all this other stuff. It's like, no, it's not that we don't need to do it. We want to do it, it's a choice. And then feeling this like need to defend myself is very, very funny that you say that, because I think we did do that for a little bit. And then now we're a lot more comfortable with it. And I think you're right. It's just about being more confident about it, and just why does it even matter? Just move forward.
Right. Well, and eventually, you find yourself choosing the people that you surround yourself with, more so with those people that, not that they choose the exact same, approach to parenting, or, so one parent home, one not, but that they're supportive and they understand and they're going to, do what they can to be valuable in your journey.
That's very, very cool. And then what about the second part, the risk thing? How do you handle that? Like, can you teach me a little bit? Because I'm like, I lose sleep. I don't think I've had a good night's rest since we started this process.
Oh gosh, yeah, melatonin might help.
Oh, I love it.
Advocate though. Do you have pets?
I do.
Okay, because I was going to say I wouldn't advocate for pets sleeping with you. We have that definitely disturbs the sleep. To me, the passage of time definitely helped with the risk element too. And then having those kind of safe spaces to people to talk with and share how I was feeling, and acknowledge that those feelings were real and okay to have. And then ultimately, I got back to, okay, what's in my control? What actually can I do? And it boiled down to continuing to do great work and find ways to add value in the work that I was doing, so that, again, nothing in life is guaranteed, but at least what was in my control, I was doing my best so that I was taking that risk element, if you will, out of it. And then sound financial planning.
Yeah. That's really, really good. I got to get better at the last part, so I'll definitely work on that part. I think that's the part that I'm missing, but I do like the other stuff as well too. Okay, very cool. So let me switch gears here a little bit because I do want to make sure I'm mindful of your time, and I want to ask some rapid fire questions that I like to ask every guest. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So if you have any advice that you can give for other parents or soon-to-be parents, what advice would you give?
Enjoy every moment. Can I expand on that, or you
Please,
really want
please. Yeah.
rapid fire? Okay. I wasn't super young when I had children. I mean, I think Kate was, gosh, I was 28 when Kate was born or thereabouts. But I was still at a point in my life where I spent more time worrying about how clean my house was. Or I can remember, a time where I'm like, how the kids were dressed and that sort of thing. And as I think, as I get near the that 50 milestone, find myself reflecting more and more are just around, if I had a do-over, I would try and just soak up every minute more so than I even did. I don't feel like I totally dismiss that, but I lean into soaking up every minute. We hear it all the time as parents. Time goes so fast.
Yeah.
I really am feeling it now that I will be an empty nester in less than 30
Yeah.
just how fast it will be. In fact, we're taking a family vacation in a week or two. It may be the last time that both girls are able to be on
Oh.
us together. We don't know. I hope that's not the case, but it could be the case. And
Yeah.
so soak up and enjoy every possible moment.
Yeah. That's really great advice. If you can go back and tell yourself one thing before having kids, what would you tell yourself? Is it the same?
Uh, it might. Um, I think I would tell myself that don't rush into having kids, and I didn't. So it's actually something that I am proud of. It was advice my mom gave me. She's like, don't rush into a life relationship. Don't rush into having kids. Have it. Gain your independence. Gain your confidence before you bring other people into your life in that way. And it was great advice. And I would give that to, I've given that to my girls as well, just to say, again, there are no guarantees in life. And so knowing that you can take care of yourself is super important. And being able to prove that to yourself is a great confidence builder.
That's great advice. I love it. That's awesome.
Smart mom.
Yeah, yeah, that's really great advice from your mom. That's fantastic. I'm gonna definitely give that one to my girls too. What is the most surprising thing that you learned about yourself after becoming a parent?
I always thought that the baby stage would be my absolute favorite stage of parenting.
Yeah.
I grew up and I, earned my money through doing a ton of babysitting, and I always enjoyed the babies. The littler, the better.
Yeah.
Those families that trusted me with their 2 weeks old, those were the ones that I always made time to babysit for.
Yeah.
And so, I kind of came into parenting thinking that, I love every stage, but I probably love the baby stage the most. Young, I have to tell you, it is absolutely awesome to have adult children. It is so much fun. Now, not every day is, rainbows and unicorns or anything like that, but the fact that we can joke and we can talk about serious topics, and they have opinions and perspectives, and they're introducing me to things that I'm like, yeah, don't get that, tell me more. Yeah, it really is super, super special. So it just makes me that much more excited to, for all of us to continue to grow.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love it. I'm going to switch.
It gives you hope for the future.
It does. It really does. And I will say that I kind of getting a small taste of it now as Lily becomes a lot more articulate, and she's starting to like talk and like have conversations with me and be able to express herself a lot more. I can see how in the future that could turn into a really fun relationship, right? Where it's not just like me giving and helping and like doing things, but like they're actually like reciprocating conversations and we're learning things. I could definitely see that being really entertaining and fun. It's very exciting. But I also like look at them and I just look at Lily growing and we like measure their heights on this wall. And I'm like, can you please stop growing? Because I feel like they're growing too fast. And I know you just mentioned that earlier about like it goes so fast. I feel like it's going too fast and it's only been like 5 years. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I like look at videos of when they were like 1 or 2 and I'm like, wait, when did this happen?
Oh, I know. When we were planning Mallory's graduation party just a few weeks ago, I'm getting out all of her scrapbooks
Yeah.
from, since the time she was born and looking at all of those pictures. And I'm like, geez, it literally still feels like yesterday that I was holding her in the hospital when she
Yeah.
was first born. And so to look at her now and think that she's, opening this new chapter in her life and starting college it's really
Mind
special.
blowing, right?
It is. I don't feel any older, so how can she be 18?
I love it. What's your favorite business book? All-time favorite business book?
Yeah, can I have two?
Of course. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
this I kind of use this question more for personal reasons. I just basically grab everyone's favorite books and I just add it to my list. So, yeah, the more the better.
Oh, I love it. So two of them, and I don't know if they technically fall in the traditional business book category, but The Last Lecture by Randy Pausch. Are you familiar
Oh,
with that at
cool.
all?
No, never heard of it. What is it?
You can even YouTube The Last Lecture. And so Randy Pausch was a professor at Carnegie Mellon University many years ago and found out that he had terminal cancer. And there was there's this tradition at Carnegie Mellon that a professor is selected every year to give the last lecture of the academic year. And so that a particular year, this Randy gave the last lecture and it was recorded, and make sure and have Kleenex nearby. The first time I even heard about it, it was because my leader was watching it in her office and I saw her crying and I asked her if she was okay. So that's how I got introduced to it. So it was originally a video, wrote a book. Randy has since passed away, but you talk about amazing life lessons that hold true personally or professionally. Super meaningful. I try and read it at least once a year, maybe once every couple of years. Just to keep it fresh. Yeah, it's really, really good.
Okay.
And then Hit Refresh by Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft. That's another book I read on a semi-regular basis. I think his approach to servant leadership is phenomenal. And I had a chance to actually meet someone that worked for him for a period of time. And so I asked the question, I said, is what he says in his book actually legit?
Yeah.
And this person said, absolutely. He is as true can be. And how he thinks and writes about leadership is what he practices every day.
Wow.
And it's just, really meaningful. So those would be the two.
That's awesome. I haven't read either one of those, so I'm super excited to
There you
read
go.
both of those. That's fantastic. Yes, thank you. And then just to bring us home here, when you're not being the awesome professional you are at Principal and the super mom that you are at home, what does Kara do for fun? What's your downtime activities?
My downtime. So I'm an introvert, so it involves.
You're an
just me.
introvert?
Oh, I'm totally an introvert.
Oh, wow. I would never have guessed that.
I do surprise people when I share that. So I love to be around people. It
That's
just
right.
takes a little energy for me to do that. So
Yeah.
when I am not around people, you are going to find me reading. Love to read. You're going to find me doing Pilates, walking my dogs, sitting with a cold beverage on the deck, just listening to birds chirp or enjoy the sunshine. Love to go down to a friend's lake house and hang out on the water and that sort of thing.
Nice. So kind of like downtime, just like decompression time, enjoying the moment time.
Yes,
Oh, I love it.
absolutely.
Very cool. And this is not part of my rapid fire questions. I'm just more curious.
Yeah.
Does your husband run, and is he an athlete? Where are they getting where are your kids getting the athlete thing from?
Yeah, no, he used to. He was actually a football player and actually got a scholarship to go play football in college, and in high school he did all the sports. I think he even did basketball, but most did primarily football, some basketball, baseball, did it all. And then
Wow.
that's just always been his thing. And he comes from a long line of athletes. So
Wow.
we've got Hoogensens, hold records at different colleges for softball and football and track. And yes, so they definitely get the athleticism from the Hoogensen side. I have no athletic bones in my body at all.
But they got their dance moves from you. Come on, they got their dance moves.
After dance moves from me. Yep.
Kara, thank you so much for taking the time to be on my show today. I really appreciate it.
This has been absolutely delightful, Young. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Great to reconnect
Yes,
with you.
definitely. We'll talk soon, okay?
Sounds great.
Thank you for listening to The Girl Dad Show. Please take a moment to follow us on social media. You can find us at The Girl Dad Show on all major platforms. We look forward to staying in touch and keeping you up to date with all the new guests that are coming out.